Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hi there, good morning. This is Chartbusters, the show where we highlight all the buzzing stocks of the day and get you expert advice on how to capitalize on and trade on those stocks. The Nifty up by about 27 points, but there is only one stock which is leading all of that gains. The contribution chart should come up for you. ICICI Bank, a 6% move out there as we speak. Morgan Stanley bullish on that stock. Credit Suisse too met with the new COO, and there we have it. The Nifty up by about 24 points. ICICI Bank contributing 30 points of that. So ex-ICICI Bank, perhaps we would have been in the red. Similar would be the fate for the Nifty Bank as well. Hi, Nigel.
Well, that's right, Mangalam. You know, we are seeing that the markets are doing well. We're at 11,300. Everything's great. You know, but if you just pull up ICICI Bank, less than a month ago, the stock was at around 270, 265. It's given you smooth returns, you know, just take a look at that, 20-25% returns, and it's at the high point of the day. So if you just pull up the last 1 month chart, you'll see what I'm talking about. 270 rupees odd it was at, and in fact from there, it's given you superb returns. Remember, this is a large cap stock. We're not talking about a small cap stock as well. So keep that stock on your radar. As Mangalam said, if it wasn't for ICICI Bank, you know, it's the Sachin Tendulkar out there, which is really playing
more
the
like
innings
Virat Kohli of the first test, because you know, Virat Kohli did play and we lost.
Yeah, exactly. No, but don't say that. Today the second test starts. Maybe a couple of spinners, maybe one spinner, and the boys are going to go out there and conquer. But for the time being, let's conquer the headlights. So let's conquer the headlights as we speak. The Sensex hits 38,000 mark for the first time ever. The Nifty and the Nifty Bank, they scale new highs. The mid-cap index outperforms.
ICICI Bank tops Nifty charts. Brokerages firmly bullish on the stock. Morgan Stanley says the stock could double in the next 2 years as it moves from impaired to normalized growth. Credit Suisse maintains outperform after meeting the COO, who says the bank is well positioned to expand market share gains.
And HPCL, BPCL, they trade higher. HPCL reports earnings higher than estimates due to inventory gains. For BPCL, the gross refining margins, they come in lower than street expectations. Lower crude prices to support the stocks.
Strong results reacting, or strong stocks reacting to a good performance in the first quarter. We have Nalco reporting a big beat. Indian Bank surges after reporting its highest ever loan growth at 23%. The street shows margin expansion coming in from Blue Star. The stock shrugs off decline in the room AC revenues, and some commentary on your screens as well.
And stocks buzzing on the back of key large trades that we saw yesterday. Ceylon Exploration, that stock's higher, as well as Suntec Realty. Now, influential investor Dolly Khanna buys 0.5% stake in Ceylon, while DSP BlackRock, they bought close to around 1 million shares in Suntec Realty. Okay, first up, let's do a quick check then on a few stocks that are moving around. Let's tell you how to trade the Nifty as well from here. We're virtually at around 11,500 odd. Splendid move is what we have seen. A few stocks you should look at. Karnataka Bank, suddenly we're seeing big volume spike up out there, so keep an eye out on that one. A couple of these other smaller PSU banking stocks as well, the likes of Allahabad Bank as well as Canara Bank. All these stocks, they're moving higher as we speak. And keep an eye out on Raymond. You know, a couple of series ago, it was at around 11,000. On a month-on-month basis, it keep losing 100 rupees. You know, so now it's sub that 800 rupee level as well. But that stock from the lows, it's seen a bit of recovery. How do you trade the Nifty from here? Ashwini Gujral's with us. Ashwini, well, we're holding steady, 11,475 odd. What would be the trade? Do you think we have enough steam in us to go past that 11,500 odd mark? Can we see a bit of a trend day play out?
See, Nifty is not doing a whole lot, and that is because, you know, private banks are lower, certain other large stocks are lower. But something very interesting is happening, that the corporate banks are basically, you know, flying off the handle. All kinds of PSU banks, ICICI Bank, all these guys are up fairly strongly. And when you have this sort of tailwind that, you know, things will suddenly double, you know, then that applies to other corporate banks also. So my sense is that the real rally in corporate banks is just about starting out, and that way the only you know, real trade today is the corporate bank trade, and hence the bank Nifty, because I don't think the private banks will be able to fall as much to negate the bank Nifty impact. But my sense is that today's expiry could really close at the highs, and maybe you'll probably do 150, 200. So that way, that is the trade you should take. A, bond yields are lower. B, you have these upgrades, etc. And C, these guys were looking for a reason to go up anyway. So my sense is ICICI Bank may not be done yet. Having said that, individual stocks, PNB is a buy with a stop of 80, target of 87, and I think PNB is in the ban or something. You buy any PSU bank stock, Union Bank, BOI, everything is likely to go up and close at the high point. So BOB is a buy with a stop of 148, target of 160, and Canara Bank is a buy with a stop of 290, target of 310.
All right, Ashwini, thanks a lot for that. We will keep coming back to you for the remainder of this day, but ICICI Bank only extending its gains up about 6.5% as we speak. And Nigel, great betting there.
Absolutely, it's got the eye on the ball and hitting it out of the park. But I'm just looking at the broader markets, Mangalam and Sona Koyo, that's Jacket,
right,
JTKET. I think we should pull up the intraday chart out there. That stock is doing very, very well. And in fact, it's if you just pull up the last few days, I think in the last 1 month, it's up more than 25%. So Jacket is a stock you should look at. It's made a 52-week high as well. And it's moving on very, very large volumes. I was taking a look at valuations. It's not cheap, but it seems, someone is building in future EPS much higher than what they've delivered in the past. And it appears a bit of a re-rating. And that explains why the stock 133 as we speak.
Absolutely. So we will watch out for what happens to the future of JTKET. But let's talk about the future of GHCL. They reported their results. To discuss this and more, we have Mr. R.S. Jalan, the MD of the company, who joins us on the show from the sidelines of the MK Confluence 2018. Thanks a lot, Mr. Jalan, for joining in. I see the volumes in the first quarter for your inorganic business were absolutely flat. You have some capex coming in. So what kind of volume growth in the soda ash business are you projecting for the remainder of this year?
See, first of all, first quarter which you speak about, if you look at the two things which has happened, one was the annual shutdown, which is always planned in 18 months period. So in spite of that annual shutdown, which has an impact of approximately around 15,000 ton, in spite of that, we have been able to do the similar number, and that I would say that was something achieved a good number. Going forward, this 9 months looks to be good. Our overall, in spite of this annual shutdown, our volume is going to be more than the last year number. Then two capex are already in plan. One a capex which is underway at this point of a time. So next year we will have around 10% of the volume growth. So if I take the 10% of the volume growth along with the 10%, approximately around 8 to 9% of the price growth, we are looking at next year around 18% volume plus revenue growth on the inorganic chemical. Beyond that, next year also we have a plan of around 100,000 ton of a brownfield expansion. So in 2020-21, we will have approximately around 20% of the volume growth from here. So numbers looks to be good in the inorganic chemical.
Okay, all right. Mr. Jalan, sir, if you could give us a sense of how soda ash prices, they are panning out. What are the current prices? How do they compare with the first quarter? And tell us, are you seeing a lot of imports come into India? Give us a sense of the situation on ground.
See, two things. One, definitely the prices, globally the prices are on the upside. In the last quarter, which is the first quarter of this year, we have increased the price by around 3%. And my belief is that going forward, the soda ash prices is going to be firm, on the firm side. Because globally there is a shortage situation at this point of a time. Chinese prices has significantly improved over a period of last 6 months. And we see that situation is going to continue going forward also.
Okay, all right.
We are bullish on the soda ash pricing going forward.
Mr. Jalan, sir, I just wanted to ask you two parts of that same question that you're talking about. What is the shortage currently? What is the deficit number? And if you could give me the absolute number, an approximate number or a range of what is the current realization?
See, if you, like in India, if you look at today, approximately around 800,000 tons of the import takes place, and which over a period of time is growing. If you look at last 7-8 years, this volume has gone almost around 3 times.
Okay.
And this volume, unless some new investment comes into in Indian space, this import is going to continue.
So what's the total?
Look at the global size. China is gradually vacating the...
Sir,
China is gradually vacating their export market.
All right. So what is the total capacity in India right now versus the total demand in India right now?
The total supply which happens in domestic market by the Indian producers is around 2.8 to 2.9 million ton, whereas the demand is roughly around 3.7, 3.6, 3.7 million ton. Approximately around 800,000 comes from outside India.
Mr. Jalan, so I'm still waiting by what is the current realization?
Current realization will be approximately on ex-factory basis will be roughly around 20,000 rupees.
All right, roughly around 20,000 rupees. Let's talk about the other businesses. Then you have some home textiles business around 265 to 70 crores in terms of quarterly revenue, and you have some consumer business as well. Some sort of spices or something which I saw on your website. Why exactly that business, and do you see real potential out there going forward?
All right.
Yes, if you look at that business, yeah.
All right, so just hold on to that thought, sir. We have some update coming in terms of the JP case update. Now, the Supreme Court has allowed round 2 bidding for JP Infra. We'll have to see whether or not who are the eligible participants. Just to give our viewers a bit of a background, you know, they had to deposit around 1,400 crores, very, very approximately. They had come up with a number of around 750 crores. So, you know, there were two possible cases. One was that, in fact, yes, they'll go ahead and, you know, everyone will be allowed to rebid. Now, it'll be interesting to see who all are eligible to go ahead and rebid for this as well. So, we'll just try to get in Ashmit. I think he'll join in to give us further details on this. But as of now, we're just working with that one line that the Supreme Court has allowed round 2 bidding for JP Infra. Yeah.
Right. So we'll probably wait by and, you know, try and get Ashmit on this. As of now, the stocks are moving higher. But let's go back to our conversation that we had with Mr. Jalan. Mr. Jalan, so we were talking about your consumer business, very small right now, very nascent. What is your plan out there, and do you see this being very significant going forward?
Yeah, like you rightly said, at this point of time in our revenue, this business is very small in number. But last 2 years, we have made some new brands launched in, and like you said, spices has been launched in that. Even honey has been launched in that, and this brand has been well received. Both these products have been well received into the southern market. Now we are expanding this product into.
How much does it do in terms of revenue, and what is the potential in the next 2 years?
See, we are looking at approximately around 80% revenue growth during this year, from a 50 crore to 90 crore revenue this year. And next year, our target is 135 crore on this revenue.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much, Mr. Jalan. Thanks so much for joining in, giving us all those details. All the best for the remainder of that conference. Well, let's get to that JP case then. The quick update that's coming in there. They're allowed rebidding, and there's going to be round 2 then. Ashmit joins us. Ashmit, fill us in with all the details.
The critical development is not just with respect to JP Associates or Infratech, but also with respect to the broader IBC framework in mind. Keep in mind that as far as the resolution period that was allowed under the IBC for resolution of JP Infratech, that period had expired. Now, using its extraordinary powers, the Apex Court under Article 142, it has now allowed for, in fact, a round 2 of bidding for as far as JP Infratech is concerned. But what's even more important is that given that the amendments have been made to the IBC, which now deem home buyers as financial creditors, which have given home buyers the status of financial creditors, what the Apex Court has also directed is that the COC, or the Committee of Creditors, shall be reconstituted not just to include the banks, but in light of the amendments, also to include the home buyers. So effectively, there will be round 2 of bidding. The EOIs will now have to be invited. The expression of interest will have to be invited by the resolution professionals. And the 3 shortlisted players from round 1, along with fresh interest, if any, will need to be entertained by a broader COC that will necessarily, by way of this order of the Apex Court, also include home buyers. Another key takeaway here is that one prayer that had been made consistently by JP Associates is that they, as a promoter entity, should not be debarred. They should be allowed to participate as far as the resolution proceedings are concerned. In response to that, the Apex Court has spelled it out very, very clearly that Section 29A of the IBC makes no exceptions, that as far as promoters are concerned, JAL or jail will not be allowed, will be ineligible to participate as a part of these resolution proceedings, which brings us to the last, perhaps an equally important takeaway, that what happens to the resolution proceedings or the insolvency proceedings that had sought to be initiated by the RBI against JP Associates. In that, for that question, the apex court has again held that the RBI, as of this order, will be at liberty to begin the insolvency proceedings against JP Associates. So as far as JP Associates is concerned, nothing coming their way. The apex court making it very clear, though, that in response to JP Infratech resolution proceedings, it's time now for round 2. The COC will necessarily include home buyers, and the RBI will be at liberty to initiate insolvency proceedings against the parent company, JP Associates. Back to you.
On the show. Well, Mr. Surana, I would like to start with the refining business. The GRMs, they have been aided by inventory gains this quarter. However, the core GRMs, they have been a tad weak. Was this because of lower cracks? What kind of GRMs will HVCL be able to maintain going ahead?
If you see the April to June quarter, the GRMs were higher compared to the Q1 of last year. This year it was $7.15 versus $5.86 last year. But this year there was an inventory gain element to the extent of $3.43 in this. A part of the inventory gains were set off because of lower cracks overall, especially on LPG, between some products. Even MS was also weaker. And so that, and some element of exchange rate also in that, because the dollar moved from $65 to $68. If we see the profitability point of view on the refinery segment in rupees term. Going forward, the MS cracks has improved a little bit now. It has gone as down as $8 or so. It is improving. HSD cracks had been strong earlier, continues to be strong. LPG has gone very weak. In fact, the last quarter, LPG has gone even below the crude prices. It has improved a little bit now. And going forward, we see that the GRM should be in the range of $6 to $6.5. And the Singapore also is saying that. The Indian basket has been doing slightly better than the Singapore margin, because that is the same day crude and same day product. Also, they do not include all the products in their basket. So it is not comparable one to one, but we'll see that probably it should be in the range of $6.5 or so. As far as the reported GRMs are concerned, inventory gains will be one element which we need to watch as we come more towards the end of the quarter.
Right, Mr. Surana. So apart from the improvement in cracks that will, of course, help the refining business, wanted to ask you about the impact of the IMO regulations where, bunker fuels will have to use the lower sulfur content. How is this going to impact the refinery industry and HPCL in particular?
Indian refineries are mostly diesel maximization mode. The configuration of the refineries are such that they are designed to produce more of diesel. Now, one of the perception is when the higher specification or the superior specifications are imposed on fuel oil, then the people may not invest money in improving the quality of the fuel oil, because fuel oil is below crude price product. So there is a possibility, or there is a reasonable perception that LDO demand will go up. And if the LDO demand goes up, the cracks on diesel should improve. And because the Indian refineries are specifically designed in the mode of higher diesel production, Indian refineries should gain out of that.
Let's talk about the marketing segment then. We understand the company is gaining share in ATF as well as holding its share in the diesel segment. Now, how are you losing some ground in petrol, lubes as well as bitumen? What is the outlook here? Have you seen some growth here, maybe in the second quarter?
As far as the MS is concerned, what you mentioned, the industry grew by, at least the PSU industry grew by 6.8%, and we have grew by 6.9%. So to that extent, I won't say that we have lost the ground as far as the growth is concerned. But there is if you compare the last year, the same quarter, the growth was 9%, because the industry growth itself was higher that time. And that was also coming back of the demonetization effect, etc. So the things were also recovering at that point of time. As far as the volumes are concerned, if you see the last year, the same quarter, it was around 1.6 million ton. This time we had done around 1.74 million ton as far as MS is concerned. So if you see in the percentage term, whenever some additional players comes, the pie is the same, so there will be some reduction in the percentage term of the total volume or the market share. But as far as tons are concerned, we have gained. And as far as the growth in percentage terms is concerned, compared to the previous quarter, compared to industry, we did better.
Okay, so you've done better compared to industry. What's the capex that you've planned for FY19, Mr. Surana?
See, FY19 is at around 8,400 crores. As you know, both the refineries are in expansion. So this year, 18-19, we have a target capex of 8,400 crore for the year.
Well, Mr. Surana, there's been a lot of talk about US sanctions by the USFA. Have you heard anything from the government with regard to import of crude?
No, that is a developing story. So there are discussions which are happening at various levels. And as it gets drawn to some conclusion, then we will know about it. As such, Iran crude in our HPCL crude basket is a smaller quantity.
So you're saying there won't be any impact on HPCL if that import from Iran stops?
Yes, yes.
Well, sir, before we let you go, what's the update on the MRPL merger? Can you give us some timeline for the completion?
No, we are in discussion with ONGC on that, and there is a certain alignment in the thinking of both the companies. And as soon as we finalize the contours of the thing, we'll definitely inform you about it. We are working on that along with them.
All right. Thanks a lot to Mr. Surana for joining in with that. Out on the markets, the Nifty still holding up with about 23 points in terms of gains. ICICI is, of course, a stock which is higher by about 6.5%, mildly off the high point of the day. But it's interesting if the director can pull up the ICICI Bank futures plate out there. We're seeing a bit of a discount. So ICICI Bank, the stock, the spot is trading at around 339, while the futures currently trading closer to around that 337 to 338. Similar was the case at the high point of the day as well, where the current month futures were trading at a discount of about 80 paise to about 1 rupee, and high open interest of about 13.6 crore shares as well. So we will watch out for that. But let's talk about some politics now. Before the 2019 battle, the NDA and the opposition are set to clash for the Rajya Sabha's deputy chairperson's post. Parikshit Luthra now joins us on the phone line to tell us how the numbers stack up. Parikshit?
Well, at the moment, it does seem as if the JDU candidate, the NDA candidate for the deputy chairman election, has an edge, because this morning, we believe the Biju Janata Dal, the TRS, the AIDMK, the Shiv Sena, they've all pledged support to the JDU candidate. So this gives them a huge edge. This gives them the numbers in the 245-member House. 123 is the number that is required by the candidate to win. And even opposition leaders are saying that with the boycotting of the Aam Aadmi Party and also the YSR Congress, the numbers seem to be slightly tilted towards the BJP and the NDA's candidate. So at this moment, it seems that Harivansh Narayan Singh of the JDU is in the lead, and a blow to the Congress coming from the Aam Aadmi Party, the YSR Congress as well, and probably the most important statement coming from Arvind Kejriwal. His party has said that Rahul Gandhi did not even call Arvind Kejriwal for his support during this election, and therefore they have decided to boycott.
Okay, all right, Parikshit. Thanks so much for that. We'll keep coming back to you in terms of updates coming out of there. But keep an eye on the markets. We've slipped a tad bit. Yes, ICICI Bank is playing in the knock of its life, but a couple of other stocks like a Bharti Airtel, a Tech Mahindra, these couple of Nifty stocks, they are seeing some profit booking. Even a Z Entertainment should come off you. That stock as well has slipped a tad bit. In fact, it's moving lower as we speak. So a few of these Nifty stocks, they're taking a bit of a knock, but otherwise, no worries. Nifty Bank is high with a gain of around 200 points. We'll wrap up on Chartbusters. You stay tuned.